Brexit negotiations have hit a last-minute bump, and now a UK spokesperson says both sides are at a, quote, very difficult point. Trade talks that were on the verge of a breakthrough descended into a fight between the UK and France. Joining me now from Brussels, the headquarters of the European Commission, is Bloomberg's Maria Tadeo. Maria, thanks for joining us today on Quick Take. We were hearing yesterday that talks were near the finish line before this curveball. So tell us what happened.
Yeah, look, it's been almost hectic the past 24 hours, but I would say when you cover Europe and you cover these type of very high-level talks, this is part of the deal. It has to be seen as being difficult. It needs to be perceived as a difficult negotiation just so you can sell it back home, essentially. This is part of the optics that come with a deal. So to some extent, it's the choreography that we've seen time after time when it comes to Brexit. What I would argue is that the United Kingdom at this point, they say that the Europeans are coming up with last-minute demands that they do not agree to. The French are being also very French, saying that they do not want to take just any deal. Potentially, there's a veto threat on that. And as you know very well, for anything to get done in Europe, it needs to get agreed unanimously by the EU 27 countries. So we're in a position where we still don't know whether this deal is going to come today, tomorrow, by Sunday, or next week. What I would point is two things. We have a hard deadline coming up in December, the end of the month. That's when the relationship between the two would officially end. And then we also have European leaders meeting next week. That's potentially seen as another make or break moment. But again, the talks are very fluid. A lot can happen in the next 48 hours.
So what ends up happening if something is not agreed to or reached by that deadline that you mentioned?
Right, so there's a number of situations that could happen here. The negotiator for the European Union, Mr. Barnier, who is right now in London, could come back to Brussels here and say that he doesn't have enough and that he needs more time before he's able to present something to European leaders. He could, however, by the end of the weekend, come here to Brussels, brief the different institutions, brief the EU 27 capitals across the European Union, and then have leaders agree to it. What I would say, and I really cannot stress this enough, is that politically, this is a decision that all of the European leaders, including, by the way, the UK Prime Minister, will have to agree to politically. They need to give it a go, otherwise this won't fly. You know, whether this is tomorrow, today, or next week, it's very unclear. What is clear, however, is that there's a legal deadline that is going to come in the new year. If there's no trade deal at that point, the UK and the European Union will trade on WTO terms. There is no free quota, free FTA at this stage, and that would be a real shock for financial markets, but it would also be a huge disruption in the relationship between the two. You really do have to factor the United Kingdom was a member state for years of the European Union. To leave this way is something that you would say is a real shock to the system.
Maria, explain this sticking point that's been fascinating, this idea of fishing policy, specifically with regard to the French, for viewers who haven't been following this closely.
Look, there's three sticking points. We've talked about them many times. It's about the level playing field. That means fair competition. It's about the governance of the deal. Make sure that everyone respects the terms of the deal once it gets agreed. And then there's fishing. It's very eye-catchy because this is a small percentage of the economy for both sides, but politically it's very symbolic. For the United Kingdom, they always said Brexit was about gaining back control. It's about taking back control, and that means also the UK waters becoming an independent coastal state. For the French, and not just the French, I would say, but also for the Belgians, the Dutch, the countries that at this point do fish in UK waters. This could be very problematic when it comes to their economies there, when it comes to the fishing industry, but politically in particular for the French too, because the French do feel that Brexit needs to show a lesson. You're better off being a member state of the European Union than not being a member of the EU, and that they should negotiate from a position of strength. They shouldn't give too much away. And they also believe that if the Prime Minister does get a good deal on the fish, he's going to use this as a big propaganda win, as a big victory to say, in the end, Brexit was great. It was a good idea. The French will tell you that Brexit is a big failure overall.
Bloomberg's Maria Tadeo in Brussels. Thank you.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.